do it, guys, you can always send in your comments on WhatsApp and you can always call up the phone lines. Today on the show, we are talking about education in Nigeria, talking about education in Kwara State, we are talking about education globally. We are talking about this topic because of the International Day of Education that was marked or that was celebrated on the 24th of January this year. We do it every other year. And this year's theme is changing course and transforming education. Now, we are not talking about transforming education just in Europe or just in Nigeria or just in Kwara State. We're talking about transforming education globally. We're talking about the changes that have come with education. Just before we move on, don't forget that Youth Parliament is a program that is brought together, that is powered by the Foundation for Conscientious Youth under the leadership of Comrade George Oyeyola. And yes, today let's just talk about education. We have two amazing guests, and they are all from the Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All. That is CSACEFA, I believe.
CSACEFA.
I will on my mind for the guests now, they will pronounce it correctly. But there, I have Dr. Adewusi Adeola and Mrs. Adeyemo Betty. I think I'm correct, ma'am. Yes, Mrs. Adeyemo Betty and Dr. Adewusi Adeola, all from Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All. I'm very, very happy to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you. I want to say a big thanks to everybody, our good listeners, and Royal FM for bringing us from CSACEFA. There is a Civil Society Action Coalition on Education for All, and my partner is also here from the same civil society organization.
Nice to have you so much, man. Welcome, man. Yes. So, just again, pronounce the abbreviation for me.
CSACEFA.
CSACEFA. Okay, I would like to get it correctly. It's very, very CSACEFA. So, in case you guys don't know, this is Real FM 95.1. This is Youth Parliament, and we have our guest from CSACEFA on the show today. At CSACEFA, what they do basically is to support governments on matters relating to education and realizing the goal of education in Nigeria and in Kwara State. They also partner with several donors in supporting the education sector to see that they achieve the objectives of education in the state and the country. They also monitor development of education within the state. Do we have CSACEFA outside Kwara State?
We have it at the national level
At
as well,
national
and other
level
states.
and other states. Beautiful. And they also conduct survey on various matters relating to education. So let's just dive into the conversation proper for today, sir. And man, so when we talk about the International Day for Education, it is a day that is celebrated globally. And we just talked about International Day of Education. Everyone posts on social media. Everyone talks. But let's talk about Nigeria. Let's talk about Kwara State. The theme for this year is changing course and transforming education. Um, this is actually coming as a result of so many things, so many challenges that have faced us in the past 2 years with the COVID 19 pandemic. So many problems, so many issues have risen. But how well can we say in Nigeria, for instance, and in Kwara State, how well can we say we have adjusted to the challenges that has faced education, particularly with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you once again, our listeners. Uh, One of the things that we need to reckon with in Nigeria as at today regarding the face of education is the issue of Boko Haram. This is insecurity in the northeastern part of the country, and this has affected greatly because it has denied so many people, so many children from accessing education, let alone talking about those people who are already there, that their retention cannot be determined. And absolutely, completion is a problem over there. And apart from this, the issue of insecurity, even in some part of the Niger Delta area, we also recorded the issue of the flood disaster. And this has actually been a kind of devastation on the part of education because we are not really prepared for this. If you look at the situation, people will be moved from the riverine area when there is flood disaster and they will be put in the refugee camp or in a camp. And absolutely, no education is feasible under that kind of a threat. Even those people that are not being battered by those issues have not really got it right in the city, in the urban centers, where there are no flood disaster, where there are no insecurity. The education challenges in Nigeria, they are so enormous, they are so much that we need to address them if truly we want to follow the global theme for this year, which is changing course and transforming education in Nigeria and as a whole, you will discover that there are so many things that we need to really combat if truly we want learning to take place. In education, learning cannot take place because we have about 3 or 4 things that we need to factor in when we talk about education. We talk about the learner, we talk about the classroom or the environment where learning is taking place, we talk about the teacher, and we also talk about the learning materials. That is those things that are already designed. And even when we talk about what we have designed in Nigeria, what we follow, hardly can all those things even bring out a lot of potentials, reward potentials, and the inherent in the learners because we follow seemingly the old curriculum. Hardly the curriculum have been changed. And this is the high time we changed all those things so that we can always transform the education as it is being celebrated in this year's by this year's team.
Okay, just before you go further, you said something about the curriculum, which I found very, very interesting. So we talk about the curriculum in the Nigerian education system, and which is yet to be changed. We've been following it for like a couple of decades, both at the primary level and at the secondary level. And I have this question: whose assignment, whose job is it to actually change the curriculum? Because I believe all bodies involved ought to like even other stakeholders, they are supposed to come together and say it's high time we change it. We've been hearing it for so long, as far as back as I was when I was in primary school. Like our curriculum is old, our curriculum is old, but it has not been changed. So whose assignment primarily is it? And are the people or the people whose assignment it is, are they aware or they are just being lackadaisical about it?
Thank you so much. May I just quickly respond to this by saying that all stakeholders, especially when it comes to education sector, I think everybody has a stake there.
Yes.
The civil society working on education too, they have a role to play. You can also initiate the idea. Why you sell the idea to those people in the government sector, in the government structure, you have to sell the ideas to them, and even the people in the academia, they are also stakeholders
So
in this.
my question now is who exactly is going to implement the change of the curriculum, which is already old?
It is it is going to be the Federal Ministry of Education in Nigeria that can effect the change.
Okay, in the curriculum,
in the curriculum.
All right, let me quickly run to Mrs. Adeyemo Betty. Man, when we talk about this curriculum that ought to have been changed like a long time ago because we've seen so many changes. We've seen so many things that have come with like so many growth, so many developments that have come. But it seems like the curriculum we are working with and it is just making students run behind time. I'll cite this example to you. A couple of years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, I was in a particular school in Oyo State and I saw the textbook the students were using. The As of that time we already had Mahmoud Yakubu as the INEC chairman. But in that book, the textbook that was recommended, that was approved by the ministry and the various education board for the students in that school to use, it was still Ataru Jega that was the INEC rec in that particular book, and that was the INEC chairman in that particular book, and it bothered me because I felt these students are being taught lessons in the past, and if they are reading textbook, they are. So now my point to you is why my question to you is Mrs. Adeyemo is why or what reason do you think is responsible for the ministry not to have taken up the role and the responsibility of changing this curriculum because we have a long way to catch up with developing countries of the world and one major tool is education, and that is why the UNESCO, United Nations and UNESCO also say we need to transform education, we need to see that we change course. But why? What reason do you think is responsible for our Ministry of Education not taking this huge step in seeing that we actually catch up? Because if our curriculum does not catch